There's hope for my city. We are the chosen ones. We are the light, reflecting His only Son. Hope for my
All right, welcome to Hope for My City podcast. I got with me today Rudy Cantu from Rock Ready Printing and Design. Welcome, bro.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It's a pleasure always, being in your presence.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing to be able to chill with you, to go see you over there. Usually, when I see you, and rightfully so, is normally going to be at the shop, because there's kind of there's where you live when
Oh
you're not
yeah.
at home. And so you print how many? So man, you've been printing shirts and doing this printing, just printing,
Mm-hmm.
period, for quite some time. How many years has it been now, bro?
Ah man, I was trying to calculate this the other day, bro. It's 21, 22
Yeah,
plus
yeah,
since I was 17.
17.
Yeah.
Man, well, you know, before I was in church, you know, you'd see me riding around and
Mm.
this, that, and the other, and I was a knucklehead, doing unhealthy things. And you've seen me around back then. You were younger, of course. What's your age?
44?
44.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so you younger man than
Yeah.
I am. I'm 40-ish, and so so, but then there came a time where then started going to church, and I got plugged into church, and started needing to get stuff printed, and man, I'd go holler at you, and I'd see you at Kinko's, and we would always do things there, and I remember you'd help them with flyers
Oh
back in
yeah.
those days
Oh
and
yeah.
posters, and you were helping me understand what I needed to do. I'm like, dude, I want to do X, Y, and Z. You'd be like, okay, here's what we need to do. And so you've always been able to guide and direct folks like me on what we needed to do. I remember one time you're like, man, I got this idea. We can laminate some cards.
Oh yeah.
And, back then, it was, things weren't like they are now. So that was a big deal saying, hey, we'll laminate this and
Mm-hmm.
laminate your business card or whatever. And I remember you were doing that, and I thought I was it because nobody else had that,
They did.
and so that was kind of dope. But man, tell us about. Uh, we'll get all into this, but tell us about. Uh, where were you born at, man? Raised, what school? That kind of stuff. Tell us about your
Gotcha.
bringing up,
Well,
upbringing.
born and raised here in Waco, Texas.
Uh-huh.
Grew up on South Side. Uh, 622 South 7th,
Yeah, man.
right there in front of Magnolia.
Yeah,
We're the only ones that, still own the property right there in front.
really.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody sold off, but it's my grandmother's house, and, she's my legacy. That's who,
Yeah,
introduced me to God, introduced me to the church, and,
right.
and parents, my dad, my aunts, and all them were raised in that house, and it's still there. Nobody lives there, but it's still there.
Wow.
So yeah, born, raised here in Waco. Bells Hill kid, Saul Ross kid.
All right.
Then mom and dad moved to the a little bit of a nice area. So I went to Kendrick Elementary, and you know
Beverly Hills
there
area.
there you go. And at the time growing up where we grew up, it was a step up.
Yeah,
So
no, for real, it was. Yeah, it was.
yeah. So and then what University Middle School, the Indians. None of them schools are there anymore.
I was just telling my daughter about that.
Oh yeah,
They had the middle school and
middle
then the high
school
school.
and then University High School.
Mhm.
That's South Waco kid.
We don't
So
get no more south side than that because you're talking about Saw Ross and Bells Hill. Bells Hills
hmm
and then Saw Ross, and then you start talking about the middle school. Well, then we had. Did y'all still have Carver?
it
I know
w-
you're younger than me, but did you?
yeah, it was still there.
So Carver was the sixth grade center
hmm
basically. So then you would, but being from South Waco, then you'd come back in middle school to University Middle, and then you would go to the high school and stuff. So man, so tell us what was it like being Rudy growing up in the South Side, man? What are some things that you can remember?
And growing up, we didn't have a lot, but we always had a roof on our head, and I just remember being outdoors, man. Kids don't do that today. I tell my kids, but I was always outdoors. Dad was a fisherman, a bass fisherman, so
Oh wow,
yeah, fishing, and then my grandmother, she lived with us, so church.
yeah,
She put us in church. So
okay,
yeah, we
okay,
always had to go to church. So you know, Childhood was pretty good, Like I said, playing, neighborhood kids were all out in the street playing basketball, riding bikes, and typical childhood stuff. But
Yeah.
loved it, loved it.
How did you even get inspired to even get into printing, bro? What was that about? When did that happen?
So when I was 17 in high school, I think I was a junior, senior, I can't remember, but my cousin, she worked at Kinko's,
Okay.
and she got me a job there, and that's how it all started. I didn't know nothing about printing, but again, growing up how we grew up, we never had a computer.
Yeah.
We never had this thing called internet, and it was what do you call it? Through the phone lines. So
Dial up.
dial up. There you go.
Dude.
That was fascinated me, man. And like, what? Wait, you can look up what? And so being there, that's being able to see a computer. We just touched them in school, but and all of a sudden, I saw Adobe Photoshop for the first time.
Oh man.
I think it was 4 or 5.
I was gonna say what version?
Yes,
Oh.
not much to it, not many tools or anything to it, but that fascinated me. Typing
Everything was all like a black and white looking or that
Pretty-
gray looking.
there you go,
Grayscale. and
basic. Type your
squared
name.
off looking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I would type my name and put a stroke. I thought I was doing something.
Yeah.
Drop shadow. Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
nobody's doing this.
Yeah.
So that's what got me started in the printing business, and it fascinated me.
What year was that, by the way?
Oh man, 97, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're talking about Adobe 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's like in the early years.
96, 97. I think Adobe 4 and 5 might have been 95, 96.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then okay, so that's back in the 90s. Good night. I was out there for sure tripping. Dog. Anyway, so okay, so then what happened, man? So you had a relative working at Kinko's, and so what happened? You started getting into the computer stuff, Adobe.
Yeah, I started, I got a computer for, the Lolo,
Yeah.
and you took it home, and that's when programs came on CDs, and you got your little word you put in
Oh,
there,
snap.
So at home, I started designing,
Oh,
and I thought it was, the coolest stuff ever. I remember doing
Sure.
stuff, and today I
bet.
look at it, I'm like, oh man, what was I doing? It was like Word or something.
yeah.
But that's how it all started. So I was just fat, and I self-taught myself, taught.
Stick art looking
There you
stuff.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I was always a good drawer.
Or clip art, I should say.
Clip art, yeah. So, I worked there almost, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years, something
At
like that.
Kinko's.
Yeah, I worked there a long time. So in that time, using the free dial-up and the new graphics programs or the updated versions.
Shout
know.
out to Kinko's out there, man.
Oh yeah, no longer there, but
Yeah.
it was fun.
Matter of fact, that was is FedEx now something?
Yes, I think it's FedEx copies, or I forgot what it's called.
It transitioned. It was Kinko's, FedEx, and then it ended up now it's just whatever it is.
Yeah, it's no longer Kinko's.
But that was the store you were at, though, ain't it?
Kinko's. I never made it to the FedEx part.
Oh, that's a whole new area.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Now, so where were you at? Remind me.
We're Hobby Lobby. Back in the corner. That's where you used to come see me.
Oh yeah, you show right in the north side.
There you go, back in the corner.
Dang, right there by what's that? The grocery store, or it's like a little.
What is there?
Not Roberts. What's it? Roberts. What's it called?
Drug Emporium.
Drug Emporium. Yeah, a little Northgate Shopping Center.
There
I
you
think.
go.
But oh man, I forgot about that, bro. You show right there in the corner.
Yep.
Man, that's what's up. So man, so anything interesting during that time, bro? Like, so you started printing. I mean, what's one aha moment, I guess, within that time frame, bro, that stuck with you to this day?
Man, there's so many things. The people we've met, and even meeting Ted Nugent's wife there for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Nugents. What's up?
Yeah, doing her Christmas cards, her Christmas cards. That's what
Okay.
it was. And then,
Alright.
when President Bush got elected, we would print his itineraries and stuff. And
Is
had
that
to
right?
had to have agents with us, and
What?
yeah. And if you ever left anything in a copier by accident or whatever, you had to call them. And that happened one time. The printer jammed. Called them, bro. Not even a minute. they were already in the door.
Really?
Yeah, they just come in. That's how quick they were stationed around Waco.
You mean if a copy got
Because
stuck in the paper because they wanted all evidence? Is that what you're
yes,
saying?
yeah, and we didn't know it got stuck, at that time, but we pulled it out and we saw it, and we had a business card or something we called, and yeah, they
So
shot
they
right.
basically said you have to print this off. We need it. Nobody else can see it or have it. And you're just calling them saying, "Hey, I know y'all said that, but we just found out that one of them got jammed. So
There
here's a
you go.
copy. Do we just throw it away? No." So they just pulled right in within
Yeah,
a minute
quick
to get
to
to
grab
retrieve
it.
it,
Yes.
not going in the trash.
Nope.
It's all crinkled up or whatever. And they need the
Yep.
evidence.
They take it with them.
Oh, that's dope. Wow, I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah, I would remember. That's dope. That's dope. Heck yeah, that's definitely a good story. Anything else along those lines?
There's so many. I've done. There's some big trials. Like I don't know if you remember the zoo where you would drive through. I forgot what it was called.
Uh-uh.
Back in the days, it was
Like at Clifton?
yeah.
Oh yeah, bro.
It was a big
Before they
trial.
burned all
There
the
you
animals
go.
and all that stuff.
There you go.
Actually, I was in court with that dude. I was going to the feds when that happened.
Yeah. So
That's back in the 90s, actually.
yeah, yeah.
96, 97.
So I had the lawyers came in and I had to bring all these, boxes and boxes of evidence, and I sat there and copied it and I couldn't leave, and they just paid
Oh,
us to
snap.
put us in the office with a copier and all day just copying, copying, copying.
That's crazy.
Yeah, stuff like that. Meet as famous people every now and then, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean, dang, I didn't know that the Kinkos did all that kind of stuff. That was cool for you because you were experiencing some cool stuff there.
oh yeah.
Um, well, I mean, so how did the T-shirt stuff happen? Because back then it wasn't like it is now. Now, you can order something from Amazon and print a small version of what you would have at a printing shop. And
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it's the same caliber of stuff, but I'm just saying, people can dabble with it starting there. You you didn't have a little machine that you could order from Amazon. I remember you had a dang what you see in warehouses
Mm-hmm.
in your garage.
Yep.
Bro. So anyway, I was trying to make that parallel, but how did you even get started, bro? The
So
shirts.
even at Kinko's, we would do the iron-on shirts.
Okay.
You print it on a inkjet printer. Well, we did laser and iron it on.
Okay.
That's how we did. And I'm one of the first ones that started the In Loving Memory. That's what I got known for.
Talk your stuff, bro.
You know-
You heard it. You heard it first here, man. At Hope for My City podcast, man. What's up? Say it again. Say it with your chest, bro. What did you say?
And yeah, the In Loving Memory shirts. It's your loved ones passed or whatever, and
Right.
if you ever want to know which one's mine, I always put a dove. I always do. It's just my signature,
Mm.
and that's how I really started. And I've over the years, man,
So help people understand why. So, like for instance, the In Loving Memories of someone passes away, there's a process. Can you kind of take everybody through that process from their end, from what you know, but then even from your end, receiving it, what you do? Why is it that easy to when you're talking about an iron-on compared to?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
educate us here.
So, when you lose a loved one, funerals are quick.
Okay.
They're quick. Sometimes 2-3 days. So
Sure.
you got to have your product fast.
Right.
In Loving Memory shirts is a culture thing, especially with the young ones. So
Right.
the process is I always ask for a photo, and most of the time, give me your input. What is this person, like? What do they love? What are their colors? What stuff like that, and I bring it to life on the shirt. And I can't tell you how many times I've had mothers or fathers cry, in front of me. Just because I brought their loved one back to life one more last time, but and it's a work for them too because they'll take orders and and they'll give them to me and I try to get a deadline and get them in and we print them the way we used to do it, print it on like I was talking about the inkjet, and then iron them on. And sometimes I'll work through the night, printing shirts all
Wow.
night long. So.
That's more. I would think. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, which is fine because I'm just learning too. Is that more than anything a labor of love?
Yeah.
Because I could imagine that's super complicated in the sense of the turnaround time, the the complexity of it, right? On this
Mm-hmm.
end, from orders to sizes to never mind, and all this just dealing with people, and then you're working with people that are at their worst because they're dealing with something. They're broken, they're hurt, they're discouraged, upset, all that. Then they got people in the family that are tripping, and that's just a tender moment. And here you are, a printer printing all kind of stuff, and you're doing this for these loved ones, right? And you know all this, and you're still working with them, and you're never minding whatever stuff comes out of all that. And the end result is you're giving them a shirt with their loved one on it, and they're in tears, they're emotional. So tell us about that. That's a labor of love, because it's not like, oh, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I always tell people this: it was never for the money, because trust me, I
Yeah.
didn't make the money that I should have made.
Right.
And I've always done this. The mom and dad and the siblings, hey, they get their shirt free.
Right.
I'm not gonna take money out of their pockets. And
Yeah.
it's one thing that I honestly think that God put me here for that reason, because I wrap caskets now too, and I don't charge for wrapping kids' caskets. I do
Mm.
that, and that's one thing nobody knows. I don't
Oh.
talk about it or whatnot.
Yeah.
But it is a labor of love. It's one thing I'm passionate about, and I've helped so many, bro. I'm telling you, thousands, and I can almost remember how everybody passed or when they passed, and dealing with, again, like you said, a mother distressed, and she can hardly talk to me, and uh, there's been a few crazy, and I won't say everything on here. A few crazy things that's happened. It wasn't my fault. It really wasn't their fault. But going through that emotional battle at the time,
Mm.
I can't blame them. It's
Yeah.
You got a lot on you. So,
Yeah. For the people, bro, can you explain the difference from? I know you said it briefly, but kind of help everybody understand. You iron it on.
mhm.
How long does that take? And I know there's a whole bunch of things to determine that, but at the end of the day, once you print it compared to,
Screen printing.
there you go, screen printing.
So, like I said, the iron-on shirts, you designing is a process there. It can be 20, 30 minutes. It could be an hour, a couple hours,
Okay.
depending if they change it a lot.
Right.
Once they approve it, we print it on what we used to do, print it on it was a transfer is what it's called.
Okay.
Whether it's a light transfer or a dark transfer. If you're doing a dark shirt, you had to put it on a dark transfer. You did a white shirt or a light shirt, you had to put it on a light transfer. Then you print this out. And going through an inkjet, working out of my house many years and all that, you run through a lot of ink,
Yeah.
a lot of ink.
That's crazy. That's expensive.
Yes, expensive. And the paper was expensive too. So,
Yeah.
and then once you do all that, and people are needing it so quick, trying to get shirts ordered. When I see all these people now who do it at home, they're running around town trying to find shirts and stuff. It reminds me of the old days.
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
running to Michael's or whatnot to find some shirts, and if my supplier didn't have them or couldn't get them to me quick enough.
Yeah.
And it is a job trying to find 40, 50 shirts through Waco in the right sizes and
I
whatnot.
bet. Yeah.
So I don't miss them days. But and then you would iron it on. You have to get it straight, iron it on. What was it? Like 15, 20 seconds. I don't know. It's been a while since I've made one. 15, 20 seconds, you press it on there and take it off, and it's complete. You have your shirt ready. Now, iron-ons, they don't last as long.
Okay. So
as
they're quick, but
they're
they don't
quick,
last as long.
yes. And I started, again, trying to get better than the next person, the higher quality stuff. So mine started lasting 30 washes, which is pretty good for an
Yeah.
iron-on shirt.
Yeah.
I've seen some today from 10 years ago, man. I'm like, man, this still looks good.
Yeah.
Some people just don't wear them all the time.
Sure.
But that's the iron-on shirts. Now, screen printing is a whole nother ball game.
So the iron on, before we move over, it's exactly what you're saying. It irons on, so
Yes.
it's the heat transferred on there. Is that
Mhm.
right? Okay. Okay. And so it's like a big plancha.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
And it comes So and then the next part, what were we saying?
So screen printing is it's actually the oldest form of printing. It came before iron-ons.
Okay.
It used to be called silk screening, because they used to.
I remember that.
Yeah, screens were made out of silk. Now it's like nylon or something. What I tell people is screen printing will never ever go away. They got all these new products you're printing on machines and whatnot, and DTF. But screen printing, it's never going to go away. It's always going to be around.
Yeah.
So screen printing is a process, but in the end, screen printing is more affordable. I can knock out, hundreds of shirts an hour compared to ironing on.
Right.
Screen printing, same thing. It involves designing, but we got to print out separations. So, like the shirt you got, I'm looking at it. I think it's like 3 color separations. So that means 3 screens, you
And,
know.
and then I get complicated and want the puff ink and everything.
Yeah. And if you're gay, he wants the big stuff.
Yeah,
And,
that's yeah. Then the bigger the size. Nah, bro, I want the whole shirt.
Yeah.
Bro.
The unique stuff, but it's cool. I love doing it. So,
Heck yeah.
but for every color, you have to have a screen. So you have to, the screen printing is a lot more complicated because you have to have screens that you put a film on. It's called emulsion. You clean the screens first, degrease them, dry them, put emulsion on it, dry it again. You burn the screen, each one, whatever 2, 3 color, you have to burn them. You wash it out, you dry it again, then you tape it and look for pinholes, and then you set it up, and you got to get your registration right and all that. So it's a process. But once you get it all going, and for a long time, I always did manually. So I'm pressing with my arms. I've done that for years.
Yeah.
Still do it, although we are blessed with an automatic now. But say it's a 1 color shirt, I can knock out over 100 an hour easily.
Right.
Easily. With the
Okay.
automatic, 500 plus an hour. So it's a process, but
Okay, so for the people out there listening that don't know, there's going to be some printers out there. So is that a big deal or not in the printer world to do 100 an hour? Is that competitive? Is that like, would there be other printers be like, I can do 150? I don't know. From your experience.
yeah, it's good if you
That's
can
a
do
good
100.
number?
Yeah, it's a good
Okay.
number. Some of these, even my guys, I tease them sometimes, and we'll have competitions.
Yeah.
But you will get tired. But I'm old school. I've been doing this so many years. I can do that in my sleep. You can probably print 100. You probably print 200. You're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
But I pace myself. Put some good music on and
Yeah.
just roll.
So that's a good.
Yeah, it's a good number.
Okay. All right. Man, so it's a process. It's not just, hey, push print like on a printer, like a regular printer. You print out some.
That's what everybody
something you
when they-
type up. I think a lot of people are under the impression because they just
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
Is that you just here? I want this, and I just push print, and just give me 100 of them, and we're good. Now, where's my my shirt?
Or they come in. Well, it's just one shirt. No, you don't understand what we'd have to do to print that one shirt. So.
Oh yeah, that's even crazier.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, yeah. So with that, there's usually some kind of minimum to make sense of that whole long process. If not, then you'll probably say, hey, well, then you probably want an iron-on if we do one shirt. Because why would we set up a whole manual or whatever, right?
There you go.
Just for one, that whole product is going to be expensive. It's going to cost them a whole lot at that point because you have to charge for all that.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? The person you're paying to work to have to do that whole product. People that's having to do all that because there's different departments of that, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes everybody does the same thing, but yeah, so it costs money. So that's good for people to know. Hopefully they'll have a little bit more, grace and mercy when next time hopefully they'll give you a hug like, bro, we didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for getting at you, bro, for whatever. But also, man, talk about I will say this. You brought up the caskets and stuff. I've always known you to be a humble guy. Like, man, you one of the coolest dudes out there, bro. Like, you cool as all get out, man. And good people. You know what I mean? You just good people, man, and got a good heart. I've always been that way, bro. Like, you're a people person. There's people out there. You wouldn't have lasted this long and have the reputation you have overall. I'm sure there's some people out there that'll chunk rocks about this, that, and the third. I mean, that's part of life, right? But man, you got a big heart, bro, for people. I've always known you to be that way. I've witnessed you like really go out of your way to be a blessing to people, even in the business where you're trying to put food on the table for your family, for your kids, at this point, to provide for yourself. And you've been a person that God has used to provide for others, as it turns out, right? But even with all that, bro, and that can be when you start looking at numbers and stuff,
Oh yeah.
that can get crazy. But you don't let that, even though it gets crazy with the numbers, when the numbers aren't adding up and stuff, somehow you still find it in you to still, you're not doing it on, oh, well, we have room where we can give away a couple of, or, do this and that. You pay no never mind to that. You just do the right thing because for you it's the right thing to do. That's, I admire that about you, right? You don't find too many people like that. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. I'm giving you your flowers because you're that kind of a guy, bro. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've experienced it with myself, but I definitely experienced it with a lot of people. And that's just what they talk about and they see, on Facebook. I see their comments and stuff to you and things like that. Most of the time, if they're not upset about a shirt or whatever, because that happens,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But there's a consistency there for all these years overall, where everybody can say the same thing, bro. And I remember when you did that the first time you did a casket,
Hmm.
uh, and that stuff got all over social media, the news, whatever, and um, that's the type of stuff you've always done, though,
Yeah.
right? Even when it comes to the shirts, to all that, I know there's a lot of people that do it now, but I just want to say thank you for bringing hope to our city, uh, in our community, man, because that's a big deal. Even as you said, whenever people have lost their loved ones, you have been there through a printing company, business, or a resource to try to. The word I can just think about is minister. The word minister means to meet the need,
Oh yeah.
right? And so God has used you to be a minister through printing, right? And so that's dope. When you say people are walking up and they got tears coming out their eyes, man, God has used you to bless them through printing. And as people of God, that's how it's supposed to be. You
Yeah.
know,
Definitely.
people should be able to tell um, that you're a person of faith, right? And certainly that happens in your case. I'm not saying that you're perfect, and
No.
I'm sure you've chunked the screen at a couple of employees or two,
We
but
won't speak on
spare the comments, y'all.
that.
No, but I've also seen you create and curate a culture um, of family in the workplace. Again, when you work with different personalities and some people ain't fit for this, and you're helping them out, they're helping you out. Things don't always puzzle in the way, that's just a part of life. But what I have seen you with your heart is that you create this culture of familyhood. I mean, dude, you'll go and buy food.
Oh yeah.
I mean, before that stuff became a popular thing, I mean, you've been just doing that kind of stuff. You bust out the grill and start cooking. I'm like, dude, what? Let me see. To this day, I'm sure it happens. I know other people have experienced. I'm just saying, I have an experience where somebody just pull out the pit and just starts smoking up some food, man.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen you do that several times, and I've even showed up at times when you've had the food. I'm like, ooh, man, let's get it. But I know you love cooking,
Oh yeah.
and you use that even in the workplace as a business to provide that kind of atmosphere for your people. And I've seen them respond to you and engage with you in a way where they feel like it's family, you know. So anyway, thank you for doing that.
Oh yeah.
Talk about that, bro. Why are you like that, bro?
Uh, I can't really explain how it became. It's just nature, God's nature in me. It's just, I think it started from my grandmother. My grandmother would help, my aunts tell the story about how, she would have garage sales, and my grandmother always had new clothes in her house for kids or whatever. She would go to the Richland Mall. That was her place, and she would find discounted clothes and neighborhood kids who needed clothes. She would just give it to them, or food, or whatever, or a dollar or two. That was my grandmother,
Mm,
and she taught us to give too.
mm,
And I remember her always saying, "You can never take it with you when you pass. You
yeah.
can't take money with. You can't take material items and stuff like that." So I kind of live like that way today too. I can't take nothing with me. Whether I'm making $1,000, $100,000, whatever, I can't take it with me.
Yeah.
You know, So I'm always helping out people, and the family thing is important to me.
Yeah.
So we do not start a work week without a prayer. That
Mm.
is it. I have to Monday mornings. Of course, I say my prayers for the guys every morning, but as a group, as a whole, our Monday morning, if we do not say a prayer, we're going to shut the shop down.
Mm.
It's just we have to.
Mm.
And then I invite people come over like Pastor G, Pastor Jeremy. I probably had about 4 or 5 pastors just come hang out and
Yeah,
talk to me, and
that's right.
and it's just that culture we build up. And like I tell everybody, every one of my guys pretty much have been to my house. They've hung out, watched
Yeah.
football games or whatever. We've cooked, or we've been on trips. My family hangs out there. It's family.
Yeah.
We all got problems. We
Yeah.
all got problems. When you go, I tell them, when you come in this door, the problems stay at the door. We're just family. We're having a good time. Today I bought them pizza and salads, and we just have lunch. And Fridays are rough for us, but here's some food. It's cool. It's gonna be all right. Even though I do stress, but
Yeah.
It's hard for me people to know that I stress. It's I just take it easy. I don't want them to stress, and I've learned to control my stress. I keep it. Whatever happens, it happens.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. Just keep going.
Well, talking about that that transitions into, um, as people see this, they may not. Some of us that are close to you, that they've known you since way back then, that have still stay tapped in with you. Um, we know, but there's a lot of people who don't really know, right? But man, you've you've been through tons of ups and downs when it comes to not only your personal life, but in your career path, right?
Oh yeah.
In your business approaches and trying to do it this way, and realizing that, this, that, and the third. Take us through that, bro. What has it been like for Rudy Cantu, um, starting off doing his own business and all the ups and downs, all the way up into where you're at now?
Yeah.
Take us through that.
Roller coaster. Um, People when they ask me, should I start a business? No, no. I would tell my sons that, but it's not for the weak. It's tough. I tell people I failed several times, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I failed several times, and
Yeah.
we've had our talks.
Hmm.
And me too. I'm one of them people that I want it right. So I study, and I've had business partners and stuff like that, and I research, and I try to make it go. I visit other places. I got friends in Louisiana and stuff
Mm.
like that. I've seen their shops, and and they're very successful, and I want to be successful, and I want my guys to be successful. So
Mm.
yeah, I've starting when I was 17, 18, starting out of my house. You've been there
Yeah.
when I lived in South Waco.
Yeah.
Got a dog on the floor in the garage and no room to walk around hot, slanging shirts. And, I wasn't doing no little, I've done stuff for schools and big companies out of my house. So
Machines breaking
break
down,
machines break.
the heat
There
thing
you
messing
go.
up.
Yep. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't call repairmen. So I'm learning on my own. I became an electrician. I became a plumber. You
Yeah.
know, I can fix anything, and I can rig anything. I can build anything. If you need me to build you a press, I could have done it because I've done it. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
That's crazy.
but yeah, fell in and over and over, and learning, the book end, the office work, the taxes and all that. And
The hard way.
yes, and I hate it. Till this day, I hate it. I'm a production guy. I'd rather be in the back. I'd rather be back there sweating with the guys, uh, working and installing outside, doing billboards and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, probably 3 times I've seriously failed, and you
Mm.
know, finally learning, and me too, being a hard headed.
Yeah.
You know, I was a knucklehead too growing up. Not on your level, but pretty close at times.
Yeah.
And I had to learn. I had to step back, and I finally turned it around big time when find out I was having my first son. And that's what, hey, Rudy, you gotta stop partying, stop going to these bars and whatnot. And the day my son was born was the last day I stepped in a bar.
Really.
Yes, I was just telling somebody this yesterday. I said the partying life ended, and Rudy got into the books, got into the business, and following all kinds of, whether it's a concrete business or whatever. You kind of run your business the same far as your employees and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got you know.
So did you notice? Okay, you made that change, and the eye opener for you was you had a child,
Hmm.
and so the party life for you ended there. Did that, as a result, impact your business as far as the success of it and learning things, and or not really?
Not too
Not
much.
too
I've,
much.
I've always had, because I was always ahead of my time, is what I want to say, in
Okay,
printing and designing.
I would agree with that.
So a lot of people, they would reach out. They didn't care if I worked. Some people would say, "Oh, you need to get out of your house. You need to get a professional." I'm getting big companies.
Yeah.
It's funny, you see a guy in a suit come to my house, and place an order. That never bothered me. If you're good at what you do, they'll come wherever. So,
So did did you notice a change when you stopped the partying or not really? That's what I was trying to get
oh
at.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did. I
How
did.
so though?
So, getting more business, getting more bigger clientels, me becoming more healthier. Me again, I was a knucklehead too. I always had a little bit of anger issues or take stuff out on people. All that went away.
But
It's
there was a time where you would there was a time where you were taking things out on people, not realizing.
yeah,
So when you got to I guess the best way to put it, where you were sober minded,
yeah,
right? Then you can think clearly on business more, get a handle on that more, and then even your personal life, and then reflect in a way, being sober minded on how you treated other people. Is that right?
correct, correct.
So it did make a difference. Then that's what I was trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
at.
It
It
made a
cleared up
difference.
some things for you,
A lot of things.
and it seems like you've been moving forward ever
Yes.
since then,
Oh yeah,
right?
I haven't stopped.
Wow. So you were able to focus more on, I guess, things that matter the most. I guess is the best
Yes,
way to put it.
yes.
That's interesting. That's cool. I didn't realize that, but I could see how that worked out. How has it worked out
So
since then?
yeah, so family life. I've had for the people that don't know, I lost my father when I was 17. So
Okay.
I had to become, I had two brothers and a sister and my mom. My mom never, had to take care of the house problems or anything. So that was 17 years old. Hey, we couldn't afford plumbing and electrical, and so that's what I was doing. So it just, it changed my whole aspect, and I got back to the family. I was a horrible brother,
Mm,
horrible son,
mm,
grandson. I admit it. I was horrible.
wow.
But after, my son was born, and before then I started being better. But when my son was born, the outlook on life changed. You know,
That's dope, man.
yeah, and I'm loving it.
That's good to know because that doesn't always happen. I mean, there's kids that have five or six sons and hadn't changed their perspective or attitude or outlook on things, but it did for you, and I think that's dope, and that's a beautiful thing, man. So congratulations
Appreciate it.
on doing that. So let's talk about Rudy now compared to then. So you're giving us some of that,
Yeah.
right? But what have you been able to accomplish now in the business world, now in the t-shirt printing? Or do we call it t-shirt printing anymore? What is it called now?
It's still t-shirt printing. Um,
Because it's so much more than that.
oh
But
yeah, it's a lot more, and so much being advanced in technology and stuff like that. I've accomplished a lot, and dealing with bigger clientele, and I signed a couple of disclosures the last 2 years, so I can't. I wish I could tell you the names, but we've done some big dog stuff, and we're constantly doing it, and then better equipment. We've got some equipment that's better than most, and I had a goal of doing that, and I always tell my guys, I promise you, and I've kept every promise. We've got the new automatics. We've got the new big printer for wraps and signs and banners, and me just learning. I've never stopped learning. One thing grandmother said, you can never stop learning. Put your mind to it. That was her word.
yeah,
Mind to it. So
I mean, but you got it out the mud. I mean, you didn't, you were doing it at home, and something would break down, and you'd figure it out. I remember you being there with that heat machine trying to make it work, and I remember I had an order, and I've always been complicated with shirts because I would say, dude, I want this, glow in the dark, I want whatever. You'd be like, all right, but you've always been gutsy. You'd be like, all right, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
And I've never done it before until Gabe. Hey, I've never done it, but I'll try it.
And then I would say, hey, bro, I need the big ones, bro. I said, I'm a big boy. By the time you get that regular standard print, back then I'd wear like a 4 or 5X, and I'd say, bro, it's gonna look little. I'm gonna look funny with that little bitty old print. And I said, I need a big one all around. And then we talked about all arounds
Oh
and
yeah.
all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so we'd have those conversations. I remember you say, well, it would require that I would have to build because you can't buy those right now. And then there you were, bro,
Mhm.
building them, bro. You build a screen of let me
Big
see if I
board.
remember this. It was a 22-inch, 23-inch, something like that. And we were doing it, man.
Oh yeah.
And then I said to make things, I was like, all right, good job, you did that. Now one puff. You'd be like, what? Yeah, I said, all right, I don't know how. I said, let's figure it out, bro.
Oh
But
yeah.
you always were down with it. And I was always able to pride myself all these years on having shirts that were way different than everybody else.
Mhm.
People just be looking. And, matter of fact, we raised a lot of money with those shirts doing fundraisers. The majority of the time, matter of fact, yeah, about 95 point or 99.9%, there's probably 1% where it wasn't, but the majority of all that was always to raise money for the programs that I was a part of, Mission Waco or the
Oh yeah.
church, and helping out the youth ministry and all that. And man, they always did well. Like it was crazy. Then we always had. I gotta give a shout out to my boy Will Suarez, man.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Willie, man. But Will, man, I had one of the most, and even to this day, insane graphic artist, right?
Mhm.
Digital creator. What do you call it? Like I don't know. He's just a brain of
I call him the best. Is what I call him.
no, he is,
Yeah.
bro. But he's always been like that. But anyway, that guy, I had him designing stuff. Then I had you printing it, and then I remember we all started coming together, and I'd be like, "Dude, just give it Rudy." And then it just, dude, we've been able to do a lot of crazy, cool stuff, man. All these years, didn't know what we were really doing all together. We were just because there wasn't a motto in that sense as far as what we were doing.
Oh yeah.
We were just like, all right, let's figure it out, and we did, and a lot of dope stuff came up out of it, man. Dude, and anything that we've ever done, it always reached a lot of people. So, dude, I remember we had 50. See, this is behind the scenes stuff. I remember we had like over 1,500 people at an Easter bash, for instance.
Mhm.
I needed about 150 shirts for volunteers. Uh, Dude, you helped us get all that taken care of. We had 100. There was 150 folks out there wearing them shirts, man. And then we've given away tons
Oh
of
yeah.
shirts, man. Just about every shirt we've done, I was shipping them all over the nation, bro. From the Hope Boys,
Yeah.
and all that, bro. We did the Hope Girls, the what was it? Dude, we did Hope all kind of stuff, man. But you were doing the Little Bonito guys,
Mhm.
bro. We did a music video on it. You were printing all that. A lot of people don't know that, bro. We had people in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, California, New York, man, buying those shirts. I had a page, and they would all take pictures with their families,
Oh yeah. I remember that.
and I would hit you up, say, "All right, bro, I need about I don't know how many. I would get a whole bunch of them,
Yeah.
man." But that's behind the scenes stuff. I know not everybody can understand, but I'm just unpacking it because we can. But man, you were part of all that stuff, bro,
Yeah.
printing off everything. And I always had the blessing to just pull up on you. Hey, bro, everybody else calling, they got to do what they
Mhm.
do. I just pull up, hey, bro, check this, what I need, bro. How can we figure this out? You know, and at that time, people that could do that kind of stuff, I'll just say it wasn't in Waco.
Yeah.
No one could do it in Waco. It was an unheard of concept in Waco, right? We're talking about years ago,
Oh yeah.
bro. Even 2000, around 2000, what, three, two, something, bro. Way back then when we started with the Kinko stuff or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
that was. But all the stuff we were doing, you couldn't do here. And when I found out you could do it in other places, I remember I tried it one time because you were busy, something broke down, and it was so complicated because you had to do it online, and then you call the people, and you had to wait. It's like big corporations. Nobody else could do it, and these were people in California because they would do like the big
I
shirts and all
remember
that.
that.
And I was like, bro, and then I got ordered some. I just tried it out, and then you were tied up, and I said I'll never do it again. I said that was a horrible experience. It wasn't personable, and I couldn't sit. I had anxiety because I didn't know what it was going to look like, and I say all that to bring it up because, bro, that's what you've always been able to provide on every level. Is you know where you show up and you're doing business, but it's you feel like you're part of the family,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I see people because I go in and get my orders. They're giving you hugs and you're talking to. You remind me of a guy named Jim Oliveira, Papa Bear, right? Jim is that kind of guy. He's a restaurant business owner, and he'll go out. Not everybody does this, but that's what he does. He goes out and shakes everybody's hand. He makes everybody knows that tries to make them feel welcome. And it's like he's a dishwasher or something. He's just walking around in an apron. He's the owner, right?
Yeah.
And so you have that kind of spirit, dude. We appreciate you here in this city and if you're watching this, man, and you agree, if you don't agree, then I ain't trying to hear. No, I'm just playing. But now look, if you agree, man, leave a comment. You know what I'm saying? Let's give Rudy his flowers, man. He does so much in our community. Has been doing it for a long time. Very successful, man. He's from South Waco, Texas. You know what I mean? And say it with your chest. You know what I mean? And so he's endured and done this stuff for a long time and is doing it and doing it well. Now you're wrapping boats and I mean you've been doing vehicles and then I see I'm not gonna say it because that might be some of the disclosure stuff, but we see pictures of fleets
Oh yeah.
of big companies and you're doing all them and
Mhm.
then we see boats and them boats are looking cool on the Brazos or on the lake and you wrapped a lot of those boats, man. And I'm not saying you're the only one, but you do quite a bit,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Talk about that, bro. What has that been like?
Um, eh, that is a new love for me, rapping.
Yeah.
You know, um, it's been cool. And people don't realize a lot of these people are not even from Waco. I have people who come from Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. I've had a guy as far as one was Oklahoma. He drove. Hey, I'm gonna go visit Magnolia for a week. Just drop my truck off, and I wrapped his whole truck. And
Wow.
him and his wife had stayed in Waco for a week, and I wrapped it, and he picked it up the next weekend. And
Wow.
just me getting my name out there. I think that's the coolest thing. Like, how did you hear about me? Or I saw something on Facebook you did, or same thing like the boats. Not too many people really touch boats here.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of calls on that, and a lot of these people from whether it's Killeen, Fort Worth, they'll drive their boat here, drop it off, call me when it's ready.
Yeah.
So it's
I remember when you first started doing, I forgot what it was, some big old giant vehicle, like a something. And I remember I pulled up on you, and nobody was there but you. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're like, well, I got to do this. I said, we're just trying to learn how to do it. I remember you bought that, or you started getting that space where you're at, and it had that open bay.
yeah,
Because I think you were doing them before that, like outside, something weird like that.
yeah. We test. We didn't have a covered. We didn't have a shop.
Yeah. So then you had a shop. So
Mhm.
you were in there. You were really starting off trying to do it legit, and you were by yourself. And I was like, do you even know what you're doing? You're like, no, bro, but I'm gonna figure it out. Watch,
Mhm.
and you figured it out,
Oh yeah.
and here you are.
Yep. Lost a lot of money, but you figure it out.
Yeah,
A lot of throwing away. I've thrown away tons of wraps.
really.
Trying to figure it out.
So how are you doing now with everything now at this point?
Everything's good. We've gotten a lot of new customers. Now I'm kind of leaning more towards the contract work.
Okay.
I have we always have 5-year plans. I'm getting up there, so it won't be long before I touch 50. So now I'm trying to figure out, how long am I going to do this? I think it'll be a while before my boys. I started late with kids, so
Mhm.
it'll be I'll probably be 60 before my kids are old.
Mm.
So it's what am I going to do? What's the next part? So I've been leaning more towards contract work. We've signed some big contracts, and people just drop off their stuff, or same thing with wraps and stuff, and all we do is just wrap it or print it. I don't have to deal with the customer or nothing.
Mm.
So
So they outsource it to you.
there you go.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And that's the way the whole marketing thing has always been. Is if you do like promotional items and
Yeah.
that's your thing, your strong suit. Well, you'll say, well, I'll do all this other stuff too, but you don't do it in house. If they don't print or wrap vehicles, they'll say they do,
Yeah.
and they do because they partner up with you and you do it for them. You become a part of their company in that
Yeah.
sense. But That's dope, bro. Man, well, that's crazy because you used to have to outsource
Yeah.
for all kind of other things. You still do, I'm sure, but more and more now, you do a lot of stuff in house. I remember when you were talking about embroidering back in the
Hmm.
days, and you used to send it to wherever, Lupita or somebody, and then you got your own stuff, bro. And you've always been an innovator like that, and then now you are the ones that people come to, and they outsource their business to you.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that, bro. That's not easy. I know it's still ups and downs because that's just a part of life. But way to go for keeping it moving and rock ready printing and designs, bro. That's what it is, man. This is my printer right here. I have all kind of printers in the family. Uh, no, well, I know everybody from media to whatever, but this has been my main guy to print all my stuff all these years, and even now, even to this day, the hat and the shirt, man, he's my go-to person. So, anyway, y'all look up Rock Ready Printing, man. Is there anything you want to say to the people as we land the plane here?
Yeah, just if you ever need any shirts, wraps, or anything, I don't ever claim to be the best. I think we are one of the best. Visit us at Rock Ready Printing, rockreadyprinting.com. Check it out. Check out Facebook, TikTok. You'll see some cool stuff we've done. We've started getting that TikTok market, and I started posting videos and trying to be like Gabe here and get into the video editing and stuff. So we'll start with TikTok, but yeah, check us out and come visit me.
That's it. He does walls and window pervs and all that stuff. That means like if you ever go to the schools and you see like cougars or something all on the glass and it looks cool and you can see through it. He does that kind of stuff. You come up here to Studio CTX, and as soon as you walk in, you'll see where we have the whole wall,
Oh yeah.
covered with stuff, and that's basically him coming in and providing those services and wraps the walls basically for us, and it really makes everything look pretty dope. So, yeah, well, that's it, man. Thanks for coming in, bro.
Hey,
We
no problem.
appreciate you, man. You are definitely have brought some hope to our city, and we appreciate you for that. And everybody else, we talk to y'all later.